Right guys, welcome back to the Navitas Circuit Protection channel. Today, as you guess from the title, I need to address what I feel is a really important topic going around at the moment, which initially came to us at trade shows up and down the country. Now, we kept getting asked whether our SPD needs an MCB. That there's been reports of SPDs being marketed at 100 amp rated, that there's SPDs that can now fit on Busbars and therefore don't require an MCB, and reports that you can use the inline fuse or DNO fuse as your point of overcurrent protection. Now, I've put this video together based on what BS7671 says in 5 separate locations. I've spoken with committee members of JPEL, and I've done my own research into it as well from our R&D centres over in China and here in the UK, and put everything together that I have found out about this topic just for you. So let's break this video down. First off, what does a 100 amp rated SPD actually look like? Well, let me show you. It looks like this, it looks like this, and it looks like most SPDs that you actually fit as standard up and down the country currently, okay, regardless of brand. I've searched the main brands in the UK at the moment that we see most of the time on tray counters, and I haven't found any that wouldn't be considered 100 amp rated. Now, 100 amp rated does not mean that there is an integral fuse in that SPD that is rated to 100 amps. 100 amp rated actually is more focused on the thermal capacity of that varistor within inside the SPD than has anything to do with a short circuit or overload current protecting that SPD. So it's slightly misleading to actually represent an SPD as 100 amp rated in line with a fuse because there's no fuse in it. So does your Type 2 SPD, whether it's hybrid or not, need an MCB in your domestic installation that would go in a consumer like this? The answer is unequivocally yes. Okay, unless there is an integral fuse present within the SPD, of which I'm yet to find one in the UK, okay, then you wouldn't require an MCB because it's essentially got an integral overcurrent protection device. Unless you have one, you will need an MCB fitted to that SPD, whether it is Busbar fed or not, okay? The regs, BS7671, are quite clear on this, okay? And let's actually delve into those regulations now. So if we look at regulation 534.4.1.5, a protective device shall be provided for the SPD. The rating of the device shall be coordinated with the SPD according to manufacturer's instructions. A dedicated OCPD coordinated with the SPD is required. The main fuse or switch fuse is not considered coordinated. And that's just one regulation. If we look at regulation 533.2.1, every circuit shall be protected against overcurrent by one or more devices that automatically disconnect the supply. SPD circuits are no exception. Now, if those two weren't enough, don't worry, there's actually more. 434.5.1, short circuit protection shall operate automatically at a current lower than the value of the protective fault current at the point of installation. SPDs can fail in short circuit condition, demanding fast and reliable disconnection. So again, not directly related to SPDs, but actually circuits, it's quite blatant that you're going to need a level of protection on this device, okay? It doesn't have anything integral, and a downstream fuse, okay, or an inline fuse isn't solely responsible for that particular circuit. So if in a fault condition, you have a situation where it can't trip or doesn't react as quickly as it needs to because it's the main incoming fuse into the board. Appendix 16 emphasizes the importance of energy let through and proper device coordination. MCBs, properly rated fuses, provide predictable, fast action. Main fuses or switch fuses do not. Regulation 712.534.101 in PV systems, SPDs must be protected by overcurrent devices that ensure disconnection under fault. While specific to PV, this reinforces the universal requirement for SPD protection. So we have it in multiple areas within the regs, okay? that you have to put overcurrent protection on an SPD, whether it's busbar fed, I don't care if it's bloody wireless, okay? The thing needs its own dedicated overcurrent protection unless it has an integral fuse, of which I'm yet to find one. But wait, let's double check my opinion and the Regs opinion. Okay, so I spoke to Kirsty Johnson, who is the head technical expert at Surge Protection Devices. She also sits on the committee for JPEL, and asked her opinion on it. And not only did it align directly with everything I've just said in this video, you can also find a complete direct comment in our white paper, which is now available on our website, which covers this entire topic in depth, and something you should probably download, keep on your phone just in case, because there's another caveat to this. So why the main fuse or switch fuse isn't enough. The upstream fuse or the DNO cutout or switch fuse is not coordinated with any specific SPD fast enough to disconnect minor SPD faults and designed to protect components within the consumer unit. So those risks would include fire from the thermal overload, catastrophic SPD failure, and system-wide disconnection from delayed fault clearance. So everyone who might have thought that this MCB that you can see wired here connected to a Type 2 SPD, which you can see wired in here, was simply just a live feed to make the SPD work, which, to be honest with you, is how some of it is being marketed. It's not. It's there because these particular devices don't have anything integral to stop a fault and therefore a potential risk hazard. Now, let's delve into this a little bit further. Manufacturers like us here at Navitas, okay, who make this product and multiple other people do the same, we have to comply to manufacturers' guidelines and manufacturers' regulations, okay? These include BSEN and other such regulations, okay? These are not, absolutely not related to BS7671 in any way, shape or form. Okay. In fact, BS7671 will reference these manufacturing guidelines. For example, I think the BSEN number for a RCBO is like 69001. Okay, so it will say in the regulations, you shall use an RCBO to this standard, when fitting RCBOs. So that's how you make sure your RCBO or whatever device goes in here is compliant with that regulation within BS7671. What it doesn't say in our regulations, in our manufacturing guidelines, that the regs that we have to adhere to make this stuff, is how you're supposed to fit it. So you take this product along with our recommendations and BS7671 and you design the electrical solution at the property. You are then legally responsible for that. We're legally responsible to make sure it works. That will work with or without an SPD. It now complies. Okay, sorry, an MCB. You should choose to fit an MCB based on everything I've just read you, which is your guideline, which is what you're held accountable to. You're starting to understand. This is why I can pitch this out as 100 amp rated. I can whack that on a busbar if I want to, okay? But it still will not get me around requiring an MCB as far as my understanding of BS7671, according to a JPEL committee member's understanding of BS7671, and pretty much most people I speak to, 100 amp rated along with busbar fed SPDs will still require overcurrent protection unless an integral fuse is present. Now, there is one slight caveat. You can also use a DIN rail mounted fuse, like a fuse carrier, okay? That would also comply. A DIN rail mounted fuse carrier that is directly linked to the SPD, not a fuse carrier that is downstream of the board, okay, that is 100 or 80 amp rated, that you'd find in a sort of a KMF equivalent, okay? They isolate the entire feed, tails in, not a specific circuit, okay? Now this will cause, I'm sure, a lot of controversy. This is going to cause a lot of arguments, and I apologize for it. These are my understanding of the regs, okay? Now, they are the, I think, 5 or 6 different versions or explanations I have found that an SPD requires an MCB. I'm sure there's others in there as well. There might be a few that contradict it. Fantastic. Okay, let's discuss them. But when a lot of people I speak to, and not just in this country, in many others, all seem to agree with the fact that these things require the extra level of protection, I urge you to think about that when you fit your next consumer unit. Now that doesn't mean to say if it's Busbar fed or anything else like that, it isn't compliant with the manufacturing standards. It just means you need to throw an MCB on it anyway, in my humble opinion. Okay, so guys, look, I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. If you want to contact me directly, Instagram's always the easiest way. Feel free to call into the office or however else you can get hold of me these days. I'm pretty much everywhere. I will be at most trade shows as well. And I think this is a topic we do need to discuss. Like I say, there is a white paper. Download that has the research and everything else that I've just mentioned in there. It's all in one handy little place for you. It's digitally downloadable, so you can have it on your phone as well. And until next time, guys, take care out there. Remember, do your own research, and like I say, I'm always on hand if you want to talk about it. The joys in the journey, and thank you for watching.